Picture this. You're at the grocery store with just two items in hand, rushing to get home when someone suddenly demands to cut in line. What would you do? Today's story dives into a heated self-checkout showdown with accusations of being a heartless Grinch and even labor pains. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Trailblazer Tube, where we uncover the most dramatic and jaw-dropping stories from Reddit's AITA thread. Today's story? A clash over a checkout line that spirals into unexpected chaos. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. Now let's take a look at the original post straight from Reddit. My mom sent me to the grocery store 3 times today. I was just picking up 2 packs of beans on the last visit and was in a rush to get home since it was 7 p.m. While I was waiting for a self-checkout to open up, someone who I guess was the woman's ride came in to check up on her. And then I guess she was in a bit of a rush because she came up behind me and tried to squeeze in front of me while saying, "Excuse me." I just ignored her and continued waiting, but then she asked me if she could cut in front of me and she told me she had to pick up her son from a soccer game. I thought it would be reasonable to say no, and I explained I only had 2 items and that it wouldn't take that long for her to wait since there was 7 checkouts. But then she started calling me a heartless bitch and that I don't have the Christmas spirit and how I want her son to suffer in the cold and how people these days have no compassion. She also started talking about her labor and contractions when she gave birth, which IDK how that has any relation to me. Honestly, I was really uncomfortable. It wouldn't be hard for me to just let her go. Usually if someone were to ask and they had less items than me, then of course, but I felt like it wouldn't make much of a difference in time. I only have 2 items, and also it's -5 degrees outside and not even soccer season. I don't know. So here's the deal. Our storyteller, sent on multiple grocery runs, is standing in line with just 2 packs of beans. She's ready to check out when another woman approaches, asking to cut ahead. The reason? She's late to pick up her son from soccer practice. Now, most of us have been there, feeling rushed and desperate for a favor. But what happens next turns this simple request into a full-blown guilt trip. It's time to decide, who's the real Grinch in this holiday drama? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to vote in the poll. Now, we move on to the next dramatic and jaw-dropping stories from Reddit's AITA thread. Am I the asshole for gifting a snow globe against my wife's correct predictions? Imagine this. An 8-year-old girl unwrapping her most wanted Christmas gift, her face lighting up with joy, but in just seconds that joy shatters. Literally. Who's to blame for this Christmas disaster? Is it the dad who gifted it or the mom who predicted it? Let's dive into today's story. Our story begins with an 8-year-old girl who wanted just one thing for Christmas, a beautiful snow globe. Innocent, right? But here's the catch. Dad thought it was a perfect gift, while mom had major concerns. She believed their daughter wouldn't handle such a fragile item carefully. Let's check out or read some posts on Reddit. Our daughter, 8 years old, asked for a snow globe for Christmas. It's all she wanted. My wife said no, because our daughter's not good with fragile stuff. My wife said daughter will end up smashing it right away. I insisted because maybe she won't break it. Also, it's what she wants for Christmas. Even if she ends up breaking it eventually, at least she'll get to enjoy it first. We had our Christmas party early just now because my wife will be out of town on XMAS Day. Anyway, our daughter opened her present. She loved it, and she was hugging it and dancing around with it. My wife starts screaming, "You're not being careful and you're going to break it." Daughter dropped it. It shattered. Our daughter is devastated. My wife says all this sadness could have been avoided if I hadn't insisted after she said no. I say our daughter only dropped it because my wife's screaming startled her. It startled me too. To someone who doesn't know my wife, the snow globe might seem irrelevant. You might say, I shouldn't insist against my wife's preference in any situation, but my wife is not like most people. She says no for everything. She told our daughter to stay in the dark because she didn't want to buy a replacement light bulb. She's ridiculously stingy and very strict with our daughter, so it's up to me to determine every time if her saying no is actually normal, or if it's another weird one where I need to insist for my daughter's sake. But now, since the snow globe DID get broken immediately, as my wife predicted, I'm second guessing my instinct on this one. So here's the question: was Dad wrong to insist on the snow globe knowing Mom's strict nature and concerns? Or is Mom to blame for her overreaction, which might have caused the accident? Could this entire situation have been avoided? Now, we want to hear from you. Who's in the wrong here? Was it Dad for ignoring Mom's warning, or Mom for her reaction? Or maybe both? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to vote in our poll. Okay, let's check out the third story. Imagine carefully collecting toys to donate in honor of a loved one, only to discover they've been taken without your permission. Who's in the wrong? The person who took them, or the one who refuses to forgive? Let's dive into today's controversial "Am I the asshole" story. This story involves family dynamics, stolen toys, and a grudge that's lasted for months. Can we call this an overreaction, or is the storyteller justified in their anger? Stick around and share your thoughts. Before we break it down, let's read out the full story straight from Reddit. I have various family members visiting with their kids around the year. They bring their kids, and as the fun uncle, I take them around town and see the sights and parks. This time, I had a pile of new toys that I had been saving to give to a charity. And this relative, Heather, asked me why I had so many. I explained the situation and that I was giving them in remembrance of my mom since she loved kids. Heather then mentioned that her very young granddaughters might appreciate a couple of the toys too. I just looked at her and said, no, it's not that I don't give the kids in the family presents, but these were not for them. We didn't discuss it again. The following day, Heather left to go back home whilst I was at work. When I returned, I was told by family that she had asked them if she could take a couple of the toys. Now, Heather is quite forceful, and the other family member was a bit cowed, and kind of just mentioned maybe she should wait for me to get home. Heather overrode their objections and took the toys and left. I was obviously pissed when I got home to that news and rang her straight away. She claimed that the charity, it's a children's hospice, wouldn't miss a couple of toys, and it was too late now as her granddaughters had already opened them and loved them. Heather said it sounded like I was calling her a thief, and she didn't appreciate that, and now I had spoilt the joy she would have at seeing the little ones playing with them because of my implication that she had stolen them. I was so furious that I slammed the phone down and didn't speak to her again for around 4 months. Now, during that time, she would ring, and my other relatives would answer the call and chide me for not forgiving Heather. When I finally did talk to her, she said she would no longer allow herself to feel guilty for what she had done, and I could not sit in judgment over her and make her feel bad. Now I know she's a complete and utter AH for what she did, but my family are telling me to drop it as it's been months and I'm causing an unnecessary fuss. I have decided to be civil since she's ill, but I really can't forgive her for not only taking those toys, but also not being able to feel like I can trust her my home if she ever visits again. So, am I the AH for still being a judgmental bastard and not truly forgiving her? So, here's the setup. Our storyteller, the self-proclaimed fun uncle, had collected toys to donate to a children's hospice in memory of his late mother. When his relative Heather saw the toys, she asked if her granddaughters could have a couple. His response? A firm no. But Heather wasn't taking no for an answer. The next day, while the storyteller was at work, Heather overrode objections from other family members, took a few toys, and left. Her reasoning? The charity won't miss a couple of toys, and my granddaughters love them. But when confronted, she doubled down, saying she wouldn't feel guilty and accused him of being judgmental for calling her out. What followed was months of silence. Heather continued to call, but the storyteller refused to forgive her. Meanwhile, other family members chimed in, calling him unreasonable for holding a grudge. Eventually, when they spoke again, Heather made it clear she felt no remorse and would not apologize for what she did. Now, the storyteller feels torn. On one hand, he wants to be civil since Heather is ill. On the other, he can't bring himself to forgive her or trust her again. So, is he the AH for refusing to let this go? Let's weigh the facts. Heather clearly crossed a boundary, taking toys meant for charity without permission and showing no remorse afterward. But does her illness or the passage of time mean the storyteller should let it go for the sake of family harmony? What do you think? Now it's your turn. Who's in the wrong here? Is the storyteller being too harsh? Or is Heather's lack of remorse the real issue? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to vote in our poll. Thanks for watching Trailblazer Tube. If you love exploring stories like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Reddit drama. And don't forget to share your judgment or opinion on these 3 Reddit dramas. See you next time.